Now, while 2015 is the first time that Mark Fields will deliver a keynote address at the International CES, this company is no stranger to the stage. Indeed, Mark and Ford have been here many times before. In fact, we went back in history and discovered Mark was the very first Ford executive to participate in a CES keynote when he joined with Bill Gates to introduce Sync in January 2007 during Microsoft's keynote. Sync was a breakthrough because it allowed you to move seamlessly from the connected world contained in your phone to an equally connected one inside your car with just a single touch of a button. Mark was involved in the development of Sync from the beginning. Recognizing a clear opportunity to offer Ford customers a differentiated experience, Mark put Sync on the fast track, and he's described the introduction of Sync as a defining moment within Ford. At a time when the automotive company was started thinking and behaving actually more like a technology company. In fact, 3 years later, Fast Company said Sync technology was turning Ford into, quote, America's most surprising consumer electronics company. Today, Sync is the most popular communications and entertainment connectivity system in the industry, with more than 10 million Sync-equipped cars and trucks on the road. And just last month, Ford announced the latest generation of its Sync 3 driver connectivity technology, and its core automotive business continues to grow. Its F-150 pickup truck remains the best-selling vehicle in America for 33 years straight. Its Fusion, midsize, and Escape compact utility vehicle are also coming off record-setting years. Mark Fields became president and CEO of Ford Motor Company last July. But prior to that, he served as Ford's chief operations officer. And throughout his 25 years with the company, Mark has run a number of Ford operations around the world. And today, we have the pleasure of hearing more about how Mark and the team are driving innovation throughout Ford. Please welcome Ford President and CEO, Mark Fields.
Good morning, everybody. It is really great to be back here in Las Vegas and right here at CES. And as Gary just mentioned, I was on stage right here 8 years ago when we were introducing Ford Sync, our in-car connectivity system. And I have to tell you, as I look back, a lot of things have changed at CES in 8 years. But one thing has stayed the same. So I want to ask you a question. Who finds it easy to get around Las Vegas during the show? Raise your hand. Okay, so I think many of us agree. It really is a challenge to get around Vegas during the show. But think about this. The Las Vegas metro area has just more than 1 million people, and with a population density of roughly 1,750 people per square kilometer. Now that puts Las Vegas number 120 on the list of the largest cities in the world by population density. Now, during CES, there's an influx of another 150,000 people. And most of them, of course, are concentrated right here around the Strip. Now, we put up with this for a few days. Imagine what people in Mumbai, India, face every day. More than 18 million people live in Mumbai, and its population density is 17 times greater than here in Las Vegas, making it the world's largest city by population density. And its air quality and its infrastructure are really poor. And cars literally inch along the roadways with horns blaring, and the trains are so packed that commuters' phones and eyeglasses often get crushed under the pressure of all the bodies. Now in the US, well, we don't often worry about that kind of congestion. After all, there's only one American city among the world's top 100 most populated cities by density, and that's Los Angeles, coming in at number 90. But as you look around CES this week, and we all marvel at the innovation, will you think for a moment about the people in Mumbai? Should you? These are the kind of issues on our minds at Ford, and it's what brings me back to CES today. You know, this week, lots of companies are going to introduce new products here, including a record number of automakers and automotive suppliers. And we really do applaud all the new product development and the new ideas for consumers. And we especially applaud the focus on the auto industry at this year's CES, where connected and autonomous cars are in the spotlight amongst all the new gadgets here. Today, though, even though as we at Ford showcase our latest connected cars and plans for autonomous vehicles, we're coming to CES with a higher purpose. And it's one that started more than 111 years ago by our founder, Henry Ford. Henry Ford's calling wasn't simply to build a strong business by introducing compelling products. His real passion was about bringing about the opportunity to create a better society. And of course, while he's best known for the invention of an affordable car that put the world on wheels, he was proudest of the mark that he made on society. His perfecting of the moving assembly line ushered in another industrial revolution. His doubling the wages of factory workers helped give rise to the American middle class. Henry Ford believed that a good business makes excellent products and earns a healthy return. But he proved that a great business does all of that while creating a better world. And that's what we'd like to focus on this morning. At Ford, we are driving innovation into every part of our business. That includes EcoBoost engines that save gas, advanced lightweight materials that make trucks more capable, and advanced features and technologies that help millions of people avoid accidents and improve safety. We're driving to be both a product and a mobility company, and ultimately to help change the way the world moves. So where do we best start? By addressing the mobility challenges facing people all over the world. So let's start with what we mean by mobility. It is more about just getting and moving from point A to point B, because the world is changing. People interact in new ways. They share information very, very differently. And they consume products and services in more ways than we've ever seen before. So at Ford, mobility is far more than motion. It's really about progress. It's about human progress. It involves such things as moving food to the stores that you shop in every day, ambulances arriving at the scene of an accident to save a life, or making it to your daughter's recital on time. It's about getting to work, whether that involves a 3-hour commute or working from the local coffee shop. 4 important megatrends are driving our thinking around mobility. The first one is urbanization, or growing population in urban environments. Today, there are 28 megacities, or metropolitan areas with total populations of more than 10 million people worldwide. Fast forward to 2030, and we expect to see at least 41 megacities worldwide. Bill Ford, our executive chairman and great-grandson of Henry Ford, has been a passionate advocate for the need for all of us to care more about the subject of mobility. And he has been for years warning of global gridlock if we don't deal with these realities of urbanization. Because the existing infrastructure for motor vehicles simply cannot sustain the sheer number of vehicles expected to be on the road in the coming years. So our roadmap has to include not only smarter cars, but smarter roads and smarter cities. At the same time, many cities are growing. We're also seeing a second megatrend, and that's the rapid rise of the growth of the global middle class. The Brookings Institute reports that the global middle class will double in size by 2030, going from 2 billion to 4 billion people, with Asia driving much of that growth. And many in this growing middle class will aspire to own a car. It's one of the traditional markers of economic progress for the last half century. And with that, it's bringing a new set of challenges. If you've been to China in the past decade, I think you know what I'm talking about. Think beyond global gridlock. Think about the third megatrend, the issue of air quality and related health risks from congestion. The World Health Organization and others have noted that urban air pollution is a serious social and public health issue. Check this out. Imagine having to remind your kids never to go outside without their face masks. Or imagine having to go grocery shopping for your parents who live 30 miles away because the elderly have been warned to stay indoors. The fourth megatrend, changing consumer attitudes and priorities. Millennials, those born between the early 1980s and the early 2000s, they're delaying marriage, delaying buying homes, delaying having children. And as consumers, they behave very differently from the people of my generation and older, especially when it comes to mobility. In the US, for instance, 47% of people today like using their smartphone to plan their transportation. And 39% say that they travel by bus, train, or taxi so that they can multitask. And 34%, well, they say they'd be interested in renting their car to strangers if they could. So these four megatrends are changing the way we view innovation and mobility at Ford. And we've developed what we call our Blueprint for Mobility, which is a multi-decade vision for how we can do our part to help create a better world. And it involves experimentation right now, leading to an all-new model of transportation and mobility within the next 10 years and beyond. We see a world where vehicles talk to one another, where drivers and vehicles communicate with the city infrastructure to relieve congestion, and where people routinely share vehicles or multiple forms of transportation for their daily commute. We see a world where, at a CES in the future, traveling down the Las Vegas Strip is not going to take a half an hour. And in Mumbai, people will have the freedom of mobility versus gridlock. And to get there, today we're announcing Ford Smart Mobility, which is our plan to use innovation to take Ford to the next level in connectivity, in mobility, in autonomous vehicles, the customer experience, and big data. And a first critical step is the creation of 25 mobility experiments across the globe, all designed to help us change the way the world moves. Now, before getting into the experiments, let's discuss the enabling technologies that convince us that right now is absolutely the right time to pursue them. The first enabler is connectivity. Consider this. 47% of Americans today won't go 24 hours without looking at their phone. Sounds a little low, doesn't it? A year ago, there were 4.3 billion smartphones in the world. In 2 years, another 1 billion new smartphones will be added, totaling 5.1 billion, which, by the way, is 80% of the world's population. Now, we spotted this trend early, and that's why we were here 8 years ago introducing Ford Sync. And today, Sync is the most popular communications and entertaining connectivity system in the industry, with more than 10 million Sync-equipped vehicles on the road all around the world. And here at the show this week, you can take a look at Sync 3, our most advanced version yet. It offers a more smartphone-like experience with faster performance, more intuitive graphics, and more conversational voice-activated commands, and also an easier way to control your smartphone apps. As we look to the future of connectivity, two advances are going to help us. First, we're going to continue to foster and to grow our Sync developer community. We have the largest ecosystem of app partners, and by providing AppLink to the open source community, the potential for innovation is endless. We'll also continue the rollout of embedded connections in our vehicles, and we'll be adding new experiences for customers as we shift to the cloud. A second enabler to our 25 experiments is software and sensor technologies. And to provide some detail on just how smart our vehicles are becoming and how that will lead the future of autonomous vehicles, I'd like to invite up our Chief Technical Officer and Group Vice President of Global Product Development, Raj Nair.
Thanks, Mark. You know, we're already manufacturing and selling semi-autonomous vehicles that use software and sensors to steer into both parallel and perpendicular parking spaces, adjust your speed based on traffic flow, or apply the brakes in an emergency. We call these features driver assist technologies. So think of them as a co-pilot, an additional set of eyes, ears, hands, and legs, cameras, sonar, and radar that can see the world, software that can interpret it in ways similar to a human driver, sometimes even better. And we expect these technologies to continue to make people better drivers, and then one day, in the right environment, could even replace drivers. We also have a fully autonomous Ford vehicle on the road and undergoing testing. And this vehicle uses the same semi-autonomous technology in Ford vehicles today, while adding 4 LiDAR sensors to generate a real-time 3D map of the vehicle's surrounding environment. So we absolutely believe automated driving is going to be possible in the right combination of area and environment. And we have autonomous vehicles in our future plans. Full automation will be possible in areas where high-definition mapping is available, along with favorable environmental conditions for the vehicle sensors. But outside of these areas and environments, drivers will also benefit from increasing semi-automated capability, which keeps the driver in the loop, but makes him or her a better and often safer driver. Software development, along with affordable hardware and sensor technology, will be the key enablers to both full autonomy and semi-automation going forward. And while widespread vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communication certainly would be beneficial, we don't believe it to be a requirement for full automated driving in the previously defined area and environment. At the same time, we want to continue making fun to drive part of the Ford DNA. So as we think about autonomous vehicles, when you go from fun to drive to fun to ride, we're asking what that looks and feels like. And more importantly, how does it change us in the way we interact with vehicles going forward? For example, passengers are far more susceptible to motion sickness than drivers because they're not in control of the vehicle's movement. With an autonomous vehicle, do we change our vehicle dynamics to reduce motion sickness versus prioritizing that rewarding driving experience? Just think about one of your worst experiences riding in a downtown taxi. We don't want to create that type of experience in an autonomous vehicle. What about the emotional connection people have with their vehicles? We don't yet know what a person's emotional response is going to be when you take away the role of the driver. And what if an accident occurs? Who's responsible? Even when we know that technologies are capable of being safer than a human driver, what level of robustness will be expected? There absolutely will be a Ford autonomous vehicle in the future, and we'll be taking putting one on the road very seriously, and we'll continue to take a very thoughtful approach to getting there.
Now, we're definitely spending a lot of time on these questions that Raj just took you through. But to be clear, our priority at Ford is not in making marketing claims or being in a race for the first autonomous car on the road. Our priority is making the first Ford autonomous vehicle accessible to the masses and truly enhancing our customers' lives. A first enabler to allowing us to move forward with mobility experiments we're announcing today is big, smart data. Data and analytics will play a critical role in determining our future. And regarding data, we want to make a very clear statement today. We believe customers own their data, and we are simply stewards of that data, and we commit to being trusted stewards of that data. Now, we may ask to use the data, but only with explicit opt-in and full transparency. And if we use that data, we need to ensure that customers are receiving services or features that they find valuable. So let's review. The world is changing. Consumers are shifting priorities. And great technology is evolving faster than ever before. And for us, it adds up to an opportunity as big as Henry Ford's. It's an opportunity to help create a better world. And that's why we're here today announcing Ford Smart Mobility, a series of experiments and open innovation challenges around the world that will help us learn and then shape our business for the future. We have a total of 25 experiments, including our innovation challenges, and they fall into 3 categories. First, creating a better customer experience. Second, developing more flexible usership models for customers. And third, connecting with every customer in a socially collaborative and rewarding way. So let's start with better customer service, a better customer experience. This revolves around learning more about how customers go about their day using their car, learning from your behavior, your driving style, plus factors like traffic and weather. So our first experiment is Big Data Drive in Dearborn, Michigan. And working with Ford employee volunteers, we're capturing data produced from their vehicle with the OpenXC plug-in device. Now, OpenXC is our open source research platform that gives developers, including us, access to vehicle data that can then be used to develop hardware and software solutions to improve the mobility experience. Now, today's cars, they produce a massive amount of data. Upwards of 25 gigabytes of information per hour. This experiment is helping us to understand how people move and see patterns that most customers don't. Last year in Metro Detroit, for instance, a major expressway shut down completely for 6 months. And normally, about 140,000 drivers take that route every day. And through our Big Data Drive, we were able to map the data and see the implications. And we were able to track the congestion on the surface streets by the hour. So the next time that there's a road project of this scale, we can provide solutions that require the crowd to see, yet it can then benefit the drivers individually.
Next up, fleet insights from all across the United States. We're looking at unlocking the value of the time spent behind the wheel. Today, it's mostly about listening to music or news. Tomorrow, time can be spent on other useful things. So imagine the car helping you prepare for your next big meeting, or a parent taking a sick child to a doctor's office. You might be able to triage her while driving there, reducing the wait time. As we learn the purpose behind each trip and the associated driving behavior, the insights will tell us more about how a driver interacts with traffic, weather conditions, and more. So understanding individual driver profiles is key to delivering better experiences for consumers inside and outside their vehicles.
Now, what if you owned a database of your driving behavior for all the years since you got your driver's license? So for our next experiment, we're looking at that possibility in London. Now, if you looked at my lifetime record, it might show a few issues of speeding when I was younger, but then it reveals a trajectory towards good driving behavior that primarily has lasted throughout my adulthood. Now, what if this driver score passport could go with you from car to car, no matter the brand? Imagine that you could share that data with insurance companies to get better rates. And in order to understand the business opportunity and how smaller influences such as traffic, weather, and other passengers affect driver behavior, we're collecting driver data from a large fleet in London. And we're looking at how you could use driver profiles to personalize insurance rates. Our next group of experiments looks at creating a more flexible usership experience and the ecosystem of vehicle sharing. We're exploring flexible mobility options around the world beyond just selling and leasing cars. And this will help us to create even better transportation experiences for our customers.
Now, I'm sure some of you here play video games. This next experiment is not too far off. It involves an operator that's able to remotely drive real vehicles from the comfort of their office in Atlanta. So using available technology, including video cameras and sensors, streamed over a public 4G network, we used golf carts as a proof of concept. So these low-speed golf carts are used on campus at Georgia Tech for transportation for administrators and faculty. If successful, this could help change car sharing forever. Now, owning a car in a big city is a difficult and expensive challenge. If you drive in central London between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. during the week, you pay a congestion charge of £11.50 a day, or about $18. What if you could pay for a car only when you need to use it? And which car sharing model would be best for cities? We're investigating that with City Cars on Demand in London, which positions cars all around the city for flexible shared usage. They can be used spontaneously for as little or as long as required, and then dropped off virtually anywhere. Their use is charged by the minute, including the congestion charge, fuel, and insurance. Half of the fleet is electric cars with zero tailpipe emissions. The benefits are clear. More clean driving EVs on the road leads to cleaner city air. If city dwellers share a car, there'll be more open parking spots. Now, getting cars on demand is one thing. What about buses? Well, we're taking a look at that in New York City and in London. Dynamic Social Shuttle is a shareable service of premium minibuses with registered users requesting point-to-point pickup and drop-off on demand using their smart device. And we've already had several key findings with this experiment. First, an appropriate amount of personal space can make sharing with strangers a lot more acceptable. Adults need effortless access to the third row. And passengers gain a sense of security from the fact that the drivers are registered and be contacted and rated. The information we gain will help us understand how to build products for the best shared customer experience.
Now, if you own a vehicle, most likely you bought the car because it best fits your needs and also your budget. But have any of you ever dreamed of driving a Mustang on a weekend? Or maybe you need a truck to haul some landscaping supplies around. So how can we help? Well, hundreds of Ford employees in Dearborn are participating in our car swap experiment, which leverages the Ford-owned fleet cars that they drive every day. Employees who are willing to share and swap their vehicles have a mobile app that allows them to search for a vehicle that meets their needs and negotiate swap terms. The experiment will provide an in-depth understanding of how we can take the hassle out of vehicle swapping for consumers. We've also been working on learning from car sharing programs since 2013. In Germany, we launched Ford Car Sharing, the first manufacturer-backed nationwide car sharing program incorporating dealerships. This collaboration recently expanded and now has 39 dealers in 55 cities with over 100 locations. And we're working with our dealers. By being able to work with our dealers, we're able to serve small towns and villages and rural areas too. And we're working in cooperation with Flinkster, a large car-sharing company that works with multiple partners. So, Ford car-sharing customers can use all the Flinkster vehicles, and Flinkster's 270,000 customers can use the Ford car-sharing fleet. Now, we're broadening the car-sharing experiment in India as well. Now, many consumers in Bangalore simply can't afford a car, yet they still want the benefits of having one. So users can book a pickup and drop-off time and date either by mobile phone or online. And it's just one more way we're making mobility accessible for the masses. It would also be beneficial if urban shared vehicles were electric, because not only do they lower operating costs, they can also be refueled in their parking spaces. But shared EVs, of course, need time to charge. And in Dearborn, we're developing fast charging technology for our vehicles. Plus, we're looking at partnerships with retail or fast food businesses to develop fast charging infrastructure. Because we want to make electric vehicles easier to use, because when more people choose EVs, everyone benefits from the lower emissions.
So our third category of experiments explores working in a socially collaborative way and creating solutions that are rewarding for everybody. Our data-driven healthcare experiment will teach us what mobility means more broadly. So for most of us here, healthcare is accessible. If we have an emergency, we call an ambulance or head to a doctor. If you lived in West Africa or Gambia. That's much more difficult. Unpaved roads and a lack of reliable transportation option makes it tough. Ford's partnered with an organization that manages and maintains motorcycles and ambulances, enabling healthcare workers to deliver vital care to people. We're equipping a fleet of Ford pickup trucks and SUVs with OpenXC technology. Beyond making their fleet more efficient, such as leveraging diagnostics data to keep their vehicles up and running, Ford is collecting data in an area where mapping companies don't go. We're creating detailed maps of road networks, and we'll be able to better plot driver routes. Next, let's talk parking. We have millions of cars on the road now with sensors, radars, and cameras. They're always working, keeping you safe. But can they do more? With our Parking Spotter experiment in Atlanta, we're testing how we can use vehicle sensors to find open parking spaces while people are driving around. Then sharing that information to create a cloud-based database that other vehicles can access, making it easier for another person to find and reserve a parking space.
Thanks, Raj. Now, in London, we're working to make parking easier for drivers and also the city. Drivers voluntarily use plug-in devices that create live data on traffic and parking. And the City Dash app tells users whether they're legally parked. If not, the app recommends the nearest open spot. It allows drivers to pay for parking meters by mobile phone and identifies the closest available parking spot to the driver's final destination. So at Ford, of course, we love cars. But of course, we embrace other transportation solutions too. You heard us talking about buses. We also want to learn about cycles in Palo Alto. And our Info Cycle experiment uses the OpenXC platform on any bike. It can collect data, it can be a probe in the city, track bike locations, and generate data that can improve safety for everyone moving throughout the city. So these experiments are significant investments in exploring mobility solutions. And we don't anticipate that any one of these experiments is going to provide a single solution. What we know is that we'll learn something from each of these experiments. And some of our experiment leaders are with us today, and I really encourage you to visit our display in the convention center to meet them and to engage us with your own ideas. Because we really appreciate that the best ideas don't always come from within. And we need to encourage not only our own people, but provide tools for others to help innovate along with us. And we already have collaborations with 16 universities and 27 research projects studying mobility. And through our Innovate Mobility Challenge series, we've invited developers and innovators around the world to solve a wide range of mobility issues.
This is a worldwide call for developers, creative thinkers, and inventors. We need you. This is an opportunity to use your skills as an innovator to make a difference to the planet. We're inviting app developers and makers from across the globe to help explore mobility issues facing communities around the world and unearth new solutions. Our goal is to help make mobility accessible and affordable, comfortable and convenient, safe, secure, and socially desirable, while minimizing the environmental footprint. It means looking with fresh eyes at the way we move, as individuals, as businesses, and as societies. We want you to submit your impact-making apps, ideas, and inventions that deal with the mobility challenges we face. Delivery of goods in Lisbon. Getting around during the monsoon season in Mumbai. How to reimagine parking lots in Los Angeles. Faster access to hospitals in Delhi. Improving access to healthcare around Chennai and in rural areas of Tamil Nadu. The strain of commuting in Shanghai. Other uses for commercial vehicles in Johannesburg. Traffic jams in Argentina. Getting from A to B in Chongqing. Different cities, different needs. Could you make a difference? Visit Ford's Innovate Mobility website for more information, details on the prizes on offer, and how you can use resources like the OpenXC platform to create your solutions.
And wow, did people respond. We received some absolutely brilliant submissions, and we're going to highlight 11 of them today. And now to do that, I'd like to welcome Ken Washington, our Vice President of Research and Advanced Engineering, and Erica Klompfel, our Global Lead for Future Mobility, who will walk us through some of the challenges. Now, Ken recently joined us after more than 20 years leading some of the country's most meaningful research, and he's spent more than 10 years working in Silicon Valley. And at Ford, he leads our Global Advanced Research and Innovation Organization. And Erica is part of Ken's team, leading our mobility experiments and research projects, working with our global teams on implementation and then the analysis of the results. And she has more than a decade of experience at Ford in analytics and big data. So take it away, Ken.
Thanks, Mark. Ford has an incredible heritage of innovation, and it's an honor to help continue this work. Let's explore just a few of the solutions the challenge participants developed. Los Angeles, like many cities, has plenty of parking. Yet, finding a parking spot remains stressful, especially during high traffic times of the day. Ford asked developers to reimagine parking lots using software to help make them more modern, less demanding, more efficient, and more usable. The winner developed an app that allows drivers to make painless mobility payments and get real-time notifications when their meter is almost expired.
I'm Liam Ronan, I'm from San Francisco, and our app is CrowdPark. When you're parking a car, you run into all kinds of things. You can have different color parking meters, 5 different signs on a single pole, all saying different things. And then when you finally park your car in a lot, you can go next door and find a space for $10 cheaper. There's got to be a better way. CrowdPark provides lot owners with metrics, and these metrics allow these owners to set their prices based on demand. At the same time, consumers can feel confident that they're paying a fair price and not an arbitrarily set price. Other users of the app can come in and snap a picture of your car, and if you haven't registered your car in this parking lot, then you'll get charged for it. And the person who took the picture will actually get a small percentage of that fee. Companies like Ford are beginning to listen to people like us because we have good ideas.
Argentina has long struggled with traffic congestion and its related air pollution. Part of helping alleviate traffic congestion is creating intelligent infrastructure and new models for public and private mobility. The urban shuttle is one alternative. It consists of 2 main components: the shuttle car, a mini-seater electric vehicle, and the shuttle bus, a conveyor of 6 mini vehicles. Both would be powered by electricity. If you've ever spent time on the streets of London, you know how frustrating and expensive the experience can be. We challenge developers of software to submit new or existing software applications that would assist in reducing traffic congestion on London streets and add value to London drivers. The winner, Appy Parking, is the first app of its kind to map out every single controlled parking zone in Greater London. That's more than 1,600 parking zones. And now, Erica, please join me.
Thanks, Ken. Lisbon is one of the 11th most populous areas in the European Union, with more than 3 million people living in the metropolitan area. It's also one of the oldest cities in the world, and it faces increasing congestion due to the mountains and hills that surround the city. Our challenge is to use software to redefine and improve how goods and services are delivered in Lisbon and other large cities. The winner is Smart Taxi, an application that uses continuous analysis of location data to predict where the highest demand for drivers is.
Smart Taxi is demand forecasting for taxi drivers. We take real-time data from the cab, process it, and give the taxi drivers directly on their smartphone the heat map. There they can see the zone with more probability to find the customers.
In cities, there are taxi drivers who do twice as much money as other taxi drivers, and this is because they know where they have to be. We help them all to distribute around the city and be at the right place at the right time.
Our solution already implemented in Barcelona and Moscow. Now we are working on the pilots in Brussels and Dubai. With help of Ford, we can go further and go really international.
Now, imagine it's monsoon season in Mumbai. It's hot, and it's been raining heavily for weeks. For the more than 18 million people living there, the monsoon season can severely hamper mobility. The Mumbai Monsoon Helper, an Android application, will provide current weather details and weather forecast. It'll crowdsource information for waterlogging and weather maps that will help increase traffic flow. In the medical community, it is generally understood that the sooner trauma patients reach definitive care, particularly if they arrive within 60 minutes of being injured, the better their chance of survival. These 60 minutes are referred to as the golden hour. Delhi, like many other urban areas around the world, has a significant number of road accidents. And these accidents to the everyday commuter challenge the urban commuter there and significantly hinder the ability for trauma victims to get to care centers. We challenge developers to create software to help deliver timely and better care to trauma victims in Delhi. The winner is an app that aims to have a volunteer community that can help out others in times of need and have authorities oversee the operations.
My name is Dhruv Didi, and I'm a Ford Mobility Challenge winner.
I'm Utsav Shah, a sophomore at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
My team's idea was to implement Flare as a solution for a Golden Hour challenge. Our application Flare is meant to be a solution at places like India, where the transportation infrastructure is not too strong. So it's difficult for emergency services to reach at accident sites and crime sites on time.
I think that mobility challenge is important because it gives developers perspective, and if authorities are not there present in, say, in New Delhi, how can they reach out to volunteers who are willing to help out in the same locality? We need to know where we can optimally divide our resources up and send them where they're needed the most.
Using Flare, you can report a crime or an event, and it sets up a marker on a web application which can be used by authorities to service a certain location.
People can be transient, especially in rural communities. In Tamil Nadu, India, like many parts of the world, this mobility makes it tougher for healthcare workers to reach potential patients. The winner of our Open Innovation Challenge developed software that can allow community health workers in Chennai to use pocket-sized fingerprint scanners to identify individuals, many of whom don't have government IDs, and instantly retrieve their medical records on smartphones. This helps improve decision-making for health providers and improve this population's quality of care. Let's check it out.
At Simprint, we are doing biometric identification for low-resource settings. So we are trying to match patients with electronic medical records through a unique identifier, which is the fingerprint. We are developing hardware and software, and the hardware component is a fingerprint scanner.
Small companies came in who work in the mHealth area and said, you know, mHealth is a widely growing market. It's expanding very quickly. We're reaching a lot of patients. But the issue that we always run into is the identity of the people that we're reaching.
So we are trying to come up with a fingerprint scanner as well as open source software that can integrate with existing mHealth apps.
I think the challenge is important to me because it gives me the ability to take skills that I've acquired over here building software and put it into something meaningful and something that will be able to hopefully change someone's life out there.
Let's move to Australia, where drivers traveling in remote areas over rugged terrain must be prepared for extreme conditions and emergency situations. We are asking innovators to invent a new accessory or app that increases driver awareness when traveling rugged terrain, helping them anticipate and react to difficult situations, including electrical failure, hazardous weather, and dangerous road conditions. And in Johannesburg, the challenge focuses on adding value to the vehicle through the creation of accessories for those vehicles, especially commercial vehicles, and in the largest city in South Africa. More than 500 took the challenge, and the winners were just selected. These winners created a flexible extended battery system to run accessories, a portable cinema, a diverse set of accessories, including a portable water treatment system. Now, back to you, Mark.
All right, thanks, Ken. Now, thanks. In addition to these mobility challenges, our final two challenges were just announced last week, and the winners. So to say that Shanghai, with a population of more than 24 million people, is crowded is a bit of an understatement. And traveling by car is literally out of the question for a lot of residents. Now, commuting by bike or foot can be effective in some areas. So Ford asked developers to come to the aid of the urban commuter by submitting software that helps increase the quality of life now for urban and long-range commuters. And the winner is Parkopedia. Let's take a look.
Parkopedia is the Wikipedia for parking. Our CEO was en route to a conference in San Francisco, couldn't find parking, was driving around in circles, and suddenly thought there must be one place that I can check parking, any city, any time in the world. The best thing about Parkopedia is that wherever you find yourself, you'll be able to get information on where to park, how much does it cost, and more importantly, is that space available right now? The app's very simple. You can either access it online as a mobile app or in car. You type in a postcode, a destination, or in some cases you just voice activate it and say, find me the nearest parking, find me the cheapest parking, and then it will pull down a result list of all your chosen locations. In a nutshell, we try and work directly with car park operators. We also have a data team of over 35 people that survey a location. They walk around taking photos of parking spaces, of parking rates. And then also, as the name would imply, Parkopedia, Wikipedia, we have user contributions. So the new version of the app has a leaderboard. Every time you go to a car park, take a photo, upload it onto your app, and you get higher and higher on the leaderboard.
Now, in Chongqing, China, the downtown area is literally flanked by 4 mountains and 2 rivers. So drastic geographic changes really require various transit options for folks, including tunnels and underground tracks. And the challenge is to help connect these multiple modes of transportation. And the winner is multimodal transportation platform, where transportation providers register and users plan their routes from available transportation options, including city-based mass transit solutions, such as buses and trains, with local options, including taxi, bicycle rental, and even rickshaw. These customized transportation solutions save fuel and reduce congestion. So 25 experiments, 25 opportunities to start creating new transportation solutions to help make people's lives better and to create a better world through Ford Smart Mobility. Now, will we crack the code on our first try? No, probably not. And you know what? That's okay, because it's part of innovation. And as we drive innovation in every part of our business, we're determined to learn, we're determined to take risks, and we're determined to challenge custom and question tradition and change our business going forward. We've given our engineers, scientists, and technologists a challenge. And we've asked them to use innovation not just to create better products. We've asked them to innovate to make the entire transportation experience easier, to make people's lives better, and in doing so, create a better world. So as we all go about the show this week, and as we watch the focus on the auto industry with many of the connected and autonomous vehicles, will we marvel at the innovation in these products themselves? Or will we think about innovation with a higher purpose? Will we think about people in Mumbai and how to make their lives better? Well, at Ford, we're doing both. So I invite you to come by our stand and see our latest Ford Sync connected car technology. Talk to us about the Ford semi-autonomous vehicles that we already have on the road and the fully autonomous vehicles that we're developing for the future. Equally important, join our focus on Ford Smart Mobility and the 25 global experiments that we're announcing today, which will help us learn, help us shape the future of our business, and make the world a better place. Henry Ford taught us long ago, a good business makes excellent products and earns a healthy return. A great business does all of that while creating a better world. And that is what continues to drive us each and every day. Thank you very much.